I cannot believe we just made the decision that we just did. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff going on in our head.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I think once we do make a choice, I want to build it.
We spent the next year working through the design and making thousands and thousands of decisions.
Sort of building it from the ground up and taking all the things that we've learned and incorporated into one thing.
Basically, pretty much changed our direction completely.
Yeah. Today we've got a little treat because the actual designer, David from David de Villiers Design, he flew over from New Zealand to meet us.
It took me 2.5 years to find Delos. And that was before I even knew anything about boats. And now that we've sailed around a bit, know Delos inside and out, know what works well, what doesn't, talk to a lot of other people with boats, the criteria that we have for the awesome cruising boat that we have in mind, we haven't found it yet. So, you know, there's a certain, you know, you like to say that a boat is nothing more than a collection of compromises. And if you have to compromise in building a boat, then perhaps you want them to be your own compromises.
How should I stand? I never know.
What do I do with my hands, right?
Where I put my hands?
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Be good just to hold them down by your side. Yeah.
So today, awesome day. We are here with David de Villiers, or de Villiers? De Villiers?
Yeah.
The designer of this boat that we're very super interested in and that we like very much. Because I first became interested in your designs when I took a little trip for the Annapolis Boat Show right after Sierra was born. During the boat show, the Annapolis Boat Show in 2019, I saw this design. It was a 62-foot aluminum expeditionary catamaran.
Yeah.
And then I kind of saw this line. I was like, oh, that thing looks mean. It looks just like you could just take it out and it's going to go anywhere. It's a very cool design.
Yeah. You know, it was designed for crossing oceans and, you know, going to out of the way places and being an expedition charter boat in mind. I mean, it was quite interesting because I'd never really sailed on a cat. And the owners called up and they said, we'd like to do an aluminium catamaran. Can you do something like that? And I said, yeah, for sure. I was a bit sweating at the other end of the line, but it's not a problem. We can do anything, you know. And yeah, we spent the next year working through the design and making thousands and thousands of decisions. And I'm really happy that once they launched the boat, Richard said, man, I think we got 98% of the decisions right. You know,
cool.
This is a really cool boat.
That's pretty impressive.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. And then I was horrified because that boat was in the water and sailing for about a week before they said, right, we're heading back to the States now. And we're going via Easter Island, so we're going down the Roaring Forties. They'd literally done a 5-mile trial sail. And,
Here we go.
And off they go. That boat's now done well over 100,000 miles, yeah.
And I thought it was super cool, and it's the first design in a long time that actually really excited
I
me.
remember you calling me, you were like,
It's like,
hey,
yes.
I looked at this really cool boat, but it just doesn't make any sense for us right now because then Sierra was super young and it was just gonna be me and Brian.
That's a big boat too. I thought a 62-footer cat was a little bit big for us. And you told me like, hey, I'm actually developing like a little sister ship to this, a little bit modernization on some of the lines.
Yeah.
It's fit, 16 meters, 52 and a half feet.
Yeah, something that's
62,
more
10 feet less.
smaller and more manageable.
Yeah.
I started the concept in about 2015, and then really only 2017 we got the first version done, which was also a Ketchrick version, and then we did a sloop version. Sold a few sets of plans, and all was going well, and then COVID happened. And then the next thing that happened was Dan, who built this boat that we're standing on, rang me up and he said, I love the design, just want to make a few little changes and then I'm going to build it on my farm. I didn't really know he was a metal fabricator.
A master boilermaker.
And then he started building, he got the kit set all cut out and started putting it together and asked me some more questions. And I thought, well, these are pretty good questions he's asking. But I better take this guy seriously.
Yeah, so this is actually hole number 1.
That's right, yes.
So I think we should start with the forward cockpit.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
What we said before, that's the part that most people, it's like a love-hate thing, right?
Yeah. When we look, I didn't invent the forward cockpit, but we did it on our 62, and it worked so well on that boat that there's no question. It just happens on every boat that I've designed since then, every catamaran that I've designed since then. It's evolving a little bit. It's not really a lounging cockpit. It's purely for handling the sails. You've got everything sort of waist height. You're not up on the side deck or leaning over a coaming or something, trying to wind a winch. It's very comfortable to wind the winches.
I love this concept.
Yeah.
And the reason I like it is because, like you said, it really puts all the sailing hardware in one space,
Yes.
which we have on Delos, and I see just how functional something
Yes.
that concept is. It allows you to have the helm on the inside right there, which I've always said, like, if we have another boat, I want the helm in like a pilot house or the salon protected, because most of the time we're on autopilot anyway, and if we have to drive, it's because the conditions are super snotty. You know, we've done so much sailing, we love going to higher latitudes, and then we love the helm position on Delos because it's well protected from the elements, but this would be even more.
Yeah.
And inside you could heat this whole space. This is basically the salon, the living room. You know, we've been out a long time, we've been cruising a long time, and 10% sailing and 90% at anchor is what our numbers are. And I think that's not far off from what most people's are. And so when I look at things like, you know, having a full roof over the aft cockpit, I'm like, you know what, we're gonna be living out there. Every time it rains, water comes in here, water comes in here, water comes in the sides, it gets on the pillows, it drains onto the floor, and then it just sucks. Like, you don't wanna live out here when it's all, you know, kind of just wet from a squall. It takes hours to dry. So
I'm not even calling it the aft cockpit. My designs all have the forward cockpit and the aft deck lounge.
The aft lounge area.
It's not a cockpit anymore. There's no winch in sight there, you know.
You know, a lot of designs that we've looked at, the roof sort of ends at the transom or the bulwark right there, which means that whenever it rains, the whole back of the cockpit is kind of like wet, which drives me nuts. And here, it's carried pretty far back, and I would even carry a little bit further back.
Over the
Lots of solar area too.
Lots of solar capacity.
Yeah, what do you think, 3 kilowatts up there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think by the time this boat is finished, you'll be able to fit 4 kilowatts up there.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
Twice as much as we have on Delos.
Yeah.
We have 2 kilowatts of solar power on Delos, which produces about 8 to 9 kilowatt hours of power per day. Right now, we're energy independent for most things. However, occasionally we still need to run our generator for high-load devices like filling dive tanks or running the air conditioning. If we can effectively double this power generation capacity to 16 to 18 kilowatts per day and have enough battery storage to capture it, we can be truly power independent, even accounting for our luxurious cruising lifestyle.
And you've got pretty good visibility. The visibility from here is a lot better than,
Way
let me
better
just
than
show
we
it to you.
thought, right?
So if you're standing right here, you've got, you know, starboard bow right there, port bow right there. Of course, you're gonna have the mast right in the middle, so that's gonna take away a little bit, but I
Not
think that's
more than
gonna be
Maggie does
fine.
now for
You
us.
can look over and you can see, like if you were bringing this up to a dock on the starboard side, you've got windows there. You can see right through those windows down there. The same thing on this side, which I never really realized. And then the door allows you to get an incredible amount of airflow in through the boat.
Yeah, so
right?
the 62-foot Cat never had air conditioning on board, and they sailed around the world and across the Pacific 4 times, and they were in the tropics most of the time, and you just open the front door and the back door and there's a lovely air
breeze through. Yeah. What's your favorite design feature of this particular boat?
The aluminum structure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say.
I mean, that's the point.
I thought you were going to say the forward cockpit.
No, that's the point. That's the point of difference. Really, with the multitude of other catamarans that are out there, you can literally take a a big sledgehammer and whack the side of the boat and you'll just dent it. The same will not happen on a glass boat.
Today Dan is showing us how to make an entire frame. So a frame is like one of the structures that goes inside the boat. It basically sets the shape of the hull for the plates to go on. And so the first thing we did is we picked out all the parts are stamped, and on them they say like where they're for. And so we're looking for basically all the parts that were stamped like frame 3. And then we had to cut the tabs out, and then we laid them all out. And now Dan's in there tacking all the different pieces together. And right now it's like a super kind of flimsy structure because it has no thickness to it. And what Kaz and I are going to do now is start building the inside parts of the frame that are flat metal that you have to bend in circles that you then weld inside. And so it's actually fabricated out of rounded pieces of flat metal. And then we make individual ones, measure them, cut them out, and then Dan tacks them in.
The art of metal fabrication has always fascinated me. Building something with your own hands and seeing the design concept come to life is truly amazing. In this case, we're learning some very basic fabrication techniques, namely turning flat aluminum extrusions into round circles, then fitting them to match perfectly to the frame. When it's welded in place, it gives the structure strength and rigidity, all while being incredibly light. We're total newbies, and it was a bit of a trial and error process, with multiple walks across the shop required.
Now we got it too much on these sides.
But with Dan's calm tutelage, we were getting there, one little tweak at a time.
Check our welds. So this is starboard side hull.
Yes.
Which in this design will be kind of the owners. So there'll be one cabin and a big head and shower over here.
Yes.
One of the things that really impressed me about the boat, that because we have it on Delos and I love it, is the number of watertight compartments.
Yes.
Watertight bulkhead. The one in front of Sierra's is, so the first 6 feet or 2 meters of the boat is watertight. The whole engine room is watertight. And then back in our cabin, this is a watertight bulkhead as well. So once we close these doors, shut it off, that completely seals off these compartments.
For us, it was non-negotiable to have a watertight bulkhead separating the engine room and the accommodation.
So that's over here, right? This would be a bed.
Yes.
Behind here is the engine room.
The engine's on the other end. It's completely separated.
Watertight.
So, yep.
And then at that end too, there's another 4 meters of boat.
And that's the watertight bulkhead going to the separating the forepeak from the accommodation
So then you've got 2 in each hull. 1,
Yes.
2, 3, 4.
Yep. The one important thing that we do is our structures comply with Lloyd's special service craft rules. So it's known as a very conservative rule, but we end up with a pretty bulletproof boat. 4 millimeter on the hull sides. The change in plating thickness is about 250 millimeters above the waterline. So the bottom part is the thicker plating.
Yeah.
Yep.
6 mil is a fairly thick plate.
It is fairly thick, but these boats are intended to go to places where that might become necessary.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite features of this boat, primarily because we've knocked our rudder and our keel into a bunch of things, like just going to places where we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But having the skag on our rudder saved us. We've also run into other catamarans who have damaged the rudder, damaged their sail drive by striking stuff, and I just don't understand how, you know, I guess there's always a trade-off in the design, some performance and stuff, but I love this concept because it protects not only the prop, but the rudder, and it's just an incredibly beefy structure.
This is a 3/4 inch plate here. It's a little bit more constructed like the hull, yeah, but that's 8mm plate. Just like on the 62-foot Cat, this was a non-negotiable feature. Or you could put it on a beach.
I mean, you could beach
or
your
a stony
like
beach,
this,
whatever.
go ashore, no
Yep.
problem.
And it'll stand on the two skigs and the two mini keels.
How do you think the performance characteristics of a boat like this will be? Like, are there any numbers that you can use to compare to others? Like, can you describe like the Bruce number?
Yeah, Bruce, those are...
Does that even make sense?
You know, you have sail area displacement ratios and wetted surface, sail area wetted surface ratios, and we've got all of those numbers optimized.
What does the Bruce number mean? What does that actually mean?
It's very similar to a sail area displacement ratio.
If we plug in our upwind sail area of 1,663 square feet and our cruising weight targeted at just over 16.5 tons, we get a sail area to displacement ratio of 24.41 and a Bruce number of 1.24. When making comparisons, it's important to compare apples to apples. So the following numbers are based on a boat loaded down with cruising gear, not the lightship displacement, and full upwind sail area as reported by the manufacturer's websites. Assuming no one is cutting corners on their weight estimates or over-reporting their sail areas, above 50 feet, the weight savings and strength for an aluminum structure really starts to become very attractive. By the numbers, she should be a very well-performing boat.
On Delos, when we look at our navigation, we're not that fast of a boat. We're a 6-knot average boat.
I would seriously hope that you're much more than a 6-knot boat.
Yeah.
My feeling is at least 9-knot average.
That's pretty fast.
With our appetites whet by all these numbers, we accepted an invitation to sail on a fringe Chionian cat out to Morton Island and back and get a taste of some flat water cat sailing.
Cool. Morning. G'day. So she's a 60-foot, what year?
2007
Shonen design. Ex-charter boat. See, that's exactly what we would do. Punk. Oh, coming up.
Woo! Yeah, the butt crack is out!
Alright.
Sailing.
Sailing. Woohoo. Full boat, 60 feet, only weighs 12 tons.
Wow.
We're sailing.
Too cute.
We're sailing on a catamaran.
Morton Island. Morton Island. This is cool. Going to the beach for a little walk around. Beautiful. A pretty decent sized stingray that we almost walked into. Right here. Whoa. Yeah. Get a little break from the yard. It's cool to look at the catamaran too, and kind of like, now when we've been really immersed into it, kind of like look at different ones and how things are set up, and yeah, cool.
Boatyard Guana. Goanna?
With our sailing fix quenched, it was straight back to our crash course in aluminum boat fabrication.
So it's 6 mil, 50 meters, 6 thick, 50 meters wide.
50 mil wide.
50 mil wide.
I think it did pretty well. I'm not sure if we saved you time or cost you time. There's a few wasted materials. One my bad, one Kaz's bad. But we did all right, I think.
That's right, they still make it. So.
Yeah. So it took us, what, about a day and a half?
Yep, day and a half
to make that full frame. Yep. And that's 1 out of
16.
16. So we did 1/16 of the frames. Cool. All right, now it's beer o'clock.
Yeah.
Cheers. Time to de-sweatify. Look at you. You are like a sweaty swamp monster. What happened? Is that your second shirt of the day too?
Yep.
That's amazing.
This is how I keep trim. Eat meat pies and drink Coke. Work in the Queensland summer.
I love it. Where would you build this boat? Would you build it in Sweden, at your mom's place, out in the country in Gotland, or would you build it here in Brisbane?
Well, this is why we stayed up all night yesterday. When it comes to the boat build, it makes complete sense to do it here.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. We have the friend skills here. You know, Dan is amazing.
He's a master craftsman.
Yeah, but when it comes to what we kind of were discussing, why we want to like kind of be on land a little bit more and build a boat is because we wanted to be closer to family.
Yeah.
And Australia is
It's pretty much as far away as you can get. It's absolutely the other side of the world.
So what we're discussing now is that, is this possible? Can we do the boat here and maybe be part of the design process but not build it from scratch ourselves?
Yeah.
Potentially ship it to Sweden and finish it up
Finish the
there?
interior.
Or,
I don't know, there's a lot of stuff going on in our head.
yeah, there's a lot.
Needless to say, we had a lot going on inside our heads. They were literally bubbling with dreams and hopes. Thoughts of what an immense undertaking a project like this would actually be. So we took a few days to weigh our options and try to consider all facets of the decision that would have a major impact on the direction of our lives for the next few years. Things like, is this the right time? Is this the right design? Can we even afford to do this? What modifications would we make to the design? How long would this even take? And do we need to stop sailing to pull this off? And that's just the tip of the iceberg that led our discussions. And then one morning, we woke up with clarity and purpose, and everything fell into line.
We've basically pretty much changed our direction completely.
Yeah.
And should we say it straight away?
I remember the feeling when I first purchased Delos, the level of excitement about the unknown, about the future literally shifting right under my feet. And now both Kaz and I are at that very same crossroads. Opportunities and alignment like this are incredibly rare, and it was time to make a decision.
We're gonna build it here.
We're gonna build it here. We're gonna build it here. It's super exciting.
As soon as we kind of just looked at each other and we're both like, it feels so right to build a boat here. After we made that decision, I just felt this huge relief.
Our plan was to base our dream boat on the De Villiers 525, but customize it to meet our specific needs and the requirements learned from our years at sea. Things like a hybrid diesel-electric drive, outside galley, massive solar array, an integrated dive and entertaining platform would take months of consideration, planning, and design work.
Logistically, it makes sense. Monetarily, it makes sense.
Yeah.
In fact, when we looked at what we would need to do to build it in Sweden, just the cost for building the workshop that would be required will buy us all the aluminum and almost all the labor to build the hull here. Everything just fell right into place. You can get the right quality aluminum sourced locally, cut and delivered.
Yeah.
All the engines that would be required, all the supplies, there's a rigger right across the street. There's a guy that makes masts right across the street. The tools we would have need to buy was another, it was close to $30,000 in welders and tools.
But it's really exciting, and we are so stoked to take you guys on this crazy journey.
We would love to hear from you, what you would like to see, what interests you about the build. Is there any particular aspects? Because we're going to be doing the whole thing from the metal CNC cutout to the welding to the interior fit out. So there is going to be a ton of details about this project we're working on, and we're going to be sharing a lot of really nitty gritty stuff on Patreon. So please check it out at patreon.com/SVDelos. I'd like to do a live web camera in the shop, a patrons only feed of the build going on, just
you could just
Yeah.
log into a browser and
That could be really
just
cool.
look at it.
So if you're into this boat build as much as we are, make sure to head to Patreon and check it out.
When you think about just the sheer amount of skill and know-how that goes into building this thing, like it makes me like nervous because we don't know shit about anything. But I do know that we're quick learners, maybe. I know that we're gonna make mistakes, but it's like a fantastically challenging project, right? Which is what I love about it. I love that aspect.
We're just sweating profusely in here.
If you could explain to the viewers
about
that
8,000
it was a really hot day. It's not that they were bullshitting in any way.
So yeah. Please click like and
No, if you haven't already. So
hey guys, it's just us again, screwing it up as usual. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It helps us out immensely like you wouldn't believe. New videos coming out every Friday still.
Yep.
I think we're asking people to do
Too
too
much.
many things.
Yeah.
Say
If you haven't
focus on one
already,
thing.
subscribe to the
And if you
channel.
have- okay, I got it. I got this.
Okay.
I got this. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us out like you would not believe. And if you are a subscriber, then just leave a comment or like the video. That also helps us out immensely.